I could square up on Alec Baldwin and I could just rip his head off of his fucking shoulder. Excuse me, sorry.
Like, I only lie to you like the average amount that I lie to everyone.
I mean,
to
I
keep
only-
this whole charade of a life up.
I've got glycerin needles in my pocket. Reach in and give me one.
I'm so
Good. And welcome back.
to the Dapper Dads.
The Dapper Dads are back. Happy Friday, everybody.
Back in this bitch, but a lot more rich. I'ma pop a beer. Shit, need hot for a rich.
21.
How's it going? It's Drama.
And Fast Finger Slim, welcome to the show, everybody.
And we're back. Sorry about that last episode with the weirdness.
If you did stick through the whole thing, congratulations, because you got some premium content out of it.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it overall. We told a lot of personal secrets. If you didn't listen to it because of the audio issues, you're missing out.
Something really interesting I had happen earlier in the week was I had a friend come over to the house, and we had mentioned this before, but it finally came true for me, where I was telling someone a story, and they were like, oh yeah, and this happened, and this happened. I was like, oh, have I told you this before? And they go, there's one. And they go,
oh, motherfucking shit. Holy fucking God. Why did it just foam everywhere?
this beer just exploded.
It's
down
still going.
Just suck the foam off the top, deal with it when we're done.
I'm soaking.
Good.
God, we
That's-
do need a visual component.
Man, I'm just, damn
what
it.
the fuck?
We should get
These are the beers from last episode.
These are the
I
beers
left
from
the
last
remaining
time.
ones. One disappeared. This one
and was
the
replaced by an odd, different beer.
that's very sticky on the outside. And then
This beer just exploded.
This is the Beerito. Maybe that's all they do. Every beer is like explodes.
Oh, Lord.
Motherfucker.
But I'll just tell this while you're getting cleaned up. One of the things I had happen earlier in this week was a friend was over, and I was telling them a story, and they were like, oh, this and this and this happened. And I was like, oh, have I told you this? And they go, no, I heard it on the podcast.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, shit, we're blowing up because now people, since my whole life is on blast on the internet, it just doesn't matter
It's weird.
anymore.
I have people make like weird references where I'm like, wait, I feel like I've talked about that.
I'll be like,
And then
wait,
they're like,
I don't have that joke with you. And you're like, no, but you and Drama, you're on the
I was in Madison and someone was like, it's like a Dapper Dads episode. And I was like, it is.
That's a very proud
from
moment.
what I remember.
From what we remember about
that was
recording
early.
these. Man. Like what time of the day? Because was this another 2 to 2 trip?
No, because we had to wait for someone to get off work. We got up there at 5.
Which isn't bad.
Not bad. Like, I'm always like, that's so late. And then I'm like, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 8,
Suddenly
9
5
hours.
you realize you're going to be up for at least another 12 hours after that.
Yeah.
And drunk for at least 9 of them.
So this was early, like, I don't know, maybe like a 7 or 8. The sun was still out because we went and drank by the water. It was real beautiful. And then I don't remember a lot. And, like, I know that sounds about right. Normally I do, like, even if I get blackout drunk, I still have, like, a bunch of memories.
Something I've realized about a lot of your stories is that they get pieced together over time, because I think what happens is you start to hear the stories other people tell about that night, and then you're like, oh yeah, that did happen, and it comes back like an acid flashback or Vietnam or something, or an acid flashback of Vietnam.
In Vietnam.
In Vietnam.
It's actually like deja vu.
Speaking of Vietnam flashbacks,
Okay.
something that got me fucked up this week. Here's a topical Rockford story for everybody.
Topical. Ring a bell. We're gonna start doing a bell every time something's topical.
Actually, could we just do like the air horn where it's like
No, the air horn is for when we put places on blast.
That's
when
right,
we go,
yeah.
fuck, whatever. You'll see shortly, I'm sure.
I'm sure we're gonna get at least 3.
That's air horn, topicals, bell.
Okay, so
Tim Allen Grunt just sprinkled in. Which I also forgot to mention. A lot of people I don't think realize that he moved coke and got caught and snitched and did a couple years in prison, then had the greatest comeback of all time and was the fucking Santa Claus. I made a shirt that's his mugshot, and I like to wear it out.
What's even better, like, that's a better
Just
comeback.
like to not let people forget that Tim Allen was out here in these streets moving bricks, but snitched and had a wild mustache.
Whipping the brick. Tim was out here doing some crazy shit. What's great about that is that it's even better than like Robert Downey Jr.'s comeback, where he was like high on meth and shooting at the police, and they're like, he'll never come back. But then like, how do you go from like Pablo Escobar 2 to the Santa Claus 2? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, if he was just Tim Allen, I'd be like, I could see it. But fucking Santa Claus?
Yeah, not
like
even the Santa Claus.
movies?
And then he did like that weird like superhero academy movie. Do you remember that, where like his kids were all superheroes, and it was like called?
I feel like I vaguely do. I feel like I've watched it in a hotel room.
We got a copy of it in at work on like Clear. Like it's like 75 cents at work, and like because nobody wants to buy it, so they just keep marking it down. And I look at it every day, and I think, man, That's something that is so unnecessary to add to my collection.
We'll just give it away.
Yeah, okay, how about that? Should that be the giveaway for this episode?
Yeah, long as we can guarantee that it's acquirable.
Yeah, because man, some of our giveaways turn out to be regrettable. I think let me buy the item first, and then maybe we'll give it away on the next episode.
We'll get ahead of the curve with this.
But what happened was I was hanging out with some friends, and we went out to go driving around, and outside my friend's apartment complex there is there's like a fence separating the apartment from like the business next to it. And so we went to leave, and our car was in the parking spot, and there's maybe 7 to 8 feet between us and the fence where we're at, and there's a car parked right behind us. And so we can't back out. We try to back out to like show to them that we're trying to leave. The car moves, and there's 2 gentlemen standing between the car and the fence, and one of them is just holding 2 grocery bags, and the other one just he freaks out, and he like looks around, and he drops a bunch of shit, and he runs over to the car, which is doing a really hard U-turn in this parking lot, which then skeets away. And the guy who was with the bags, he starts going, hey, and waving his arms, and then he just stops, and he starts itching all over, like hard scratches, to the point where he then reaches under his shirt and scratches, and then pulls his shirt off and is scratching, and you can see welts coming up where he's scratching himself.
Was he hot?
He was not. This guy looked like somebody who listened to 104.9 The X's entire life and shaped his whole personality around it. And so these people pulled away, and he's scratching and scratching and scratching, and then he turns around to the fence, and he starts scratching his fingers on the fence, and I just got this horrible visual of like splinters going into his fingers, and we got the fuck out of there and pulled away. But as we're pulling away, this guy is like working his way around the fence, just like just scratching at it. And I'm gonna blast myself here on the show, and we can say fuck Fast Finger Slim for this, but I called the non-emergency line.
Oh, we're gonna edit that out.
I called the non-emergency line because I was like, okay, here's the thing. He dropped some bags. He's tweaking out. It's kind of a busy area. I don't want some kid to come around and find what was very clearly, if you haven't deduced it by the end of the story by now, heroin. And
bags full of heroin.
Well, what ended up happening was we left. I called the non-emergency. They're like, we'll send somebody over there, but like there's never anybody over there. Like it's not a good part of town. And so we came back, and the dude was gone, but the bags he had dropped were still there. And I looked in one of the bags, and there was a pack of Hanes medium-sized boxer briefs. Nice. The 6-pack with the 2 extras free.
For when you're going to shit yourself.
From doing heroin. And then there was an orange container that had the lid open, and out of it was sticking a hypodermic needle.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I was like, okay.
And you were like, well, today's as good as the day of any.
Well, I had the worst identity crisis about it, because I thought, part of me was like, just leave it. It's not your fucking business. Just leave. Because like that's kind of like a city attitude. It's like, that's not your problem, so don't fuck with it, you know? But then like the small town in me was like, what if some fucking kid is like riding his bike along and like just picks up the bag and like gets poked with a heroin needle or something, you know?
I wouldn't worry about the kids. I'd worry about picking up the bag and then the cops like circling.
That's why I ended up not doing it, because I was like, okay, the right thing to do
There's no way you're going to be the guy who's like, I just picked up a bag. Which
like,
is
what are you going to do?
Everybody on cops says.
Literally. Okay, because my only options here were leave it alone or put it in my truck. And I didn't want it in my truck. Mm-hmm. So I would have thrown it in the truck bed. And then the cops would have been like, I see you have some bags tied up back here. Mind if I take a look on those? And of course, you
would drive away quickly.
Well, like, what do I do? Now, sir, this is going to sound crazy, but there's a bunch of heroin tools in there. It's the biggest
lie. It's like every episode of Cops where they're like, these aren't my jeans, or this isn't my car.
These are my,
I found it.
These are my girlfriend's husband's pants. They just happen to fit me. He whips bricks on the side. He's Tim Allen.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It was that's probably the most fucked up thing that happened to me this week.
That's a good one.
Between like last week and this week's show, I think like, what's something fucked up I could talk about this week? And I think that's probably the most fucked up thing.
I just ate some bad Applebee's.
2 different lives.
All Applebee's is bad Applebee's. I mean, I'm fucking done.
Fuck Applebee's.
Fuck Applebee's. Yep, fuck them. If I have like food and I get like really sick from it, I'll just never go to the restaurant again. I don't care how close it is to my heart.
I'll be the same way if I have a bad experience with it. There's a Mexican restaurant in Belvedere that was ruined for me forever because I asked for just like a deep fried veggie burrito, and they gave it to me, and it was like the soggiest, most grease-logged thing I've ever had in the entire world.
Well, they were probably like, what a bitch who gets a veggie burrito.
Man, fuck. I went to Burrito Bravo today, and I got a veggie burrito, and they packed that shit full, and it wasn't greasy, and it was delicious, and it smelled like Burger King for some reason, so I was very
happy for you.
I was very happy about it.
I used to love Red Robin. Fuck Red Robin.
Fuck Red Robin. I will blast that, too. Every time I ever ate a Red Robin, I got sick.
I loved it. I never got sick, but I went, like, around my birthday. I was like, let's get a bunch of people to go for my birthday.
Yeah.
And they fucking just fucked the shit out of it. Like, wrong orders for everyone.
Yeah, no,
food came back cold. No unlimited fries. And I never went back. And I loved going there. They used to have a good slutty burger and unlimited fries and a nice drink, and it was a good place, but it's not now, and I'll never go back. And I tweeted them. You know how many fucking food places follow me on Twitter because you blast them, and then they're like, DM us and we'll give you free food for the place you don't want to go anymore.
I know, like that when here's a topical story. When my mom was growing up, they would eat a lot of Dinty Moore beef stew at the house. Ooh. And there was one time my grandma.
That's what I call my penis.
Dinty Moore beef stew.
Yeah, it's long, but my dick's not.
Topical.
I guess we shouldn't both drink at the same time.
No,
it's a weird pause.
It was good though.
We'll fill it.
At least people know what. We're just fill it with Migos saying. See if you can find some more Migos saying mama. But she opened up the can and there was just a big wad of gray hair sitting on the top. At which point, this was back in like the 60s where you couldn't just like hit them up on Twitter. So my grandma wrote a letter to Dinty Moore and was like...
They didn't have Twitter in the 70s?
Believe it or not, Twitter did not exist in the 70s. There's shit that didn't exist before we were born.
Bullshit.
This all sounds like bullshit. Earth's flat.
Hey, that's true.
That is not fucking true, and we're not getting into it. I'm just going to put this out for the opinion. If you believe that the Earth is flat, you're a fucking moron that's probably been inhaling gasoline and like car methane for too long.
I love to inhale gas. We've been over this. I think the Earth is round. I think the Earth is square. Let's get into that.
There's no... We're not even doing this because I can't sit here and pretend you're a fucking idiot for like the rest of the show because I know you're not, and it's just gonna piss me off.
At least one person thinks I'm not.
We're the only two who think that we're not each other fucking idiots. Yeah. Like people listen to the show and they're like, "Wow, these guys are funny."
Fucking idiots.
No, people are like, "Wow, these guys are funny. They have good opinions," but in real life, people are just like, "Oh, look at him. He pissed his pants again."
That was one time. I told you that in confidence.
Oh God, can you say it a little quieter? Come on.
I'm waiting for people that don't like me to listen to this and not realize it's me and really enjoy it, and then realize it's me and have that internal struggle where they're
of being like, I hate this fucking.
This is good.
Like, I really hope some of like my exes or like friends who don't like me anymore are listening to this and they're like, God, that's some good jokes, but fuck him.
Or people like show it to someone like, you should really check this out, and then they're like, yeah, that's my fucking shitty ex-boyfriend.
And we're talking about them. Yeah. And they're just like, wait a minute.
And I'm like, you fucking suck, you stupid bitch.
They just hop in on episode 4 and they're just like, oh, the quality. Just the follow up before I forget it. After my grandma wrote that letter to Dinty Moore, they sent her a case of Dinty Moore beef stew as an apology.
I hate that.
And it's like she threw the whole thing out because she was like, we're not going to eat this. There was a big mess of Rat King hair in the last one.
Well, yeah, that's what I always think with like I said with the Twitter, like tweet us and we'll give you money to go back to the restaurant that you're putting on blast. And like I have a good gaggle of fucking restaurants on Twitter that follow me just because I blasted them. And then I'm also like, this is my idea, don't fucking steal it. What if I'm just sitting at home and I blast like fucking Fuddruckers for some reason, which also fuck Fuddruckers because I got super sick. The funniest shit, I was at one wherever the fuck it was. And I'm on Facebook, and you know how Facebook will be like, this looks like you're eating at this place. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, I am. I normally don't care about that shit. But I clicked on it just to see, first review is the guy who's like, I got violently sick from this. And I'm like, oh, what a bitch. Sure enough, I go home and I get violently sick from that. So I'm like, fuck Fuddruckers, air horn it up, bitch.
Never been in my life, so I won't say. Maybe we can still get a sponsorship.
Yeah, I'm not going. I did love their unlimited cheese.
What would you do?
You can just pump that cheese.
What would you do if somebody was like, okay, we want to sponsor the show, but we only want to sponsor one of you because
that's fine. Cut the check.
Like.
Let's get the money.
It's just money. You know, everybody's always like, "Oh, money isn't everything. You're just gonna be hollow."
Yeah, I was a kid too.
Yeah, bullshit. Chase that fucking money. Yeah. Like, what kind of person isn't chasing money?
There's a couple of things I won't support on here, but like, I'll shell out Olive Garden, and I hate Olive Garden.
No, like if
that's one of them I tweeted because I got a booth. Or like a little table. I'm sitting next to where the cashiers are. You know how they have those fake windows indoors?
Right, yeah.
And this cashier girl is like, I'm thinking about getting butt implants. They just take the fat out of somewhere else and shove it in your ass, and I'm trying to eat. And it's funny to me. I'm not like a bitch who's like,
right, yeah.
Oh, I can't eat now. But I tweeted it because I thought it would be funny, and they were instantly like, DM us your location and shit, like a thirsty ex-girlfriend. And I was just like, I love fuck you.
I love it when pasta restaurants are trying to get me to put people on. Like, so I'm not going to call her out. She just wants a nicer butt.
I did try. They also had like the tray where they put all the dirty dishes right behind my chair. So I was like, all right, when I stand up, I'm shoving this chair back as hard as I can. And I just barely missed it. And then I was like, should I just push it over at this point? Like, I'm never coming back.
No, because then they're going to look at the cameras and they're going to be like, oh, look at this. They're going to be like, asshole pushes over a cart of dishes in an Olive Garden just to complain.
And I would repost that video.
And we would post it on the page.
I went there one time too for someone's birthday, and it was like such a big group. They had the two waiters. One guy was super nice. I believe his name was Mark. Shout out to you.
Shout out, Mark.
And the other kid was some garbage person, and he like handed me.
Fuck the garbage person.
He was like wearing oven mitts and handed me my plate across the table in front of all these people. So I grabbed it, and it was crazy hot, and I dropped it, and he just looked at me, and then we argued with the manager afterwards because we wanted to give a tip, but just towards the good guy, not the shitty kid. And they're like, we can't do that, and my buddy was like, he gave him third-degree burns on his hand. And I still went back to the Olive Garden on East State. Fucking
Topical.
Suck a huge dick. I'm never going back now. It's garbage food anyway. Like,
it is. Like, do you like all the food at Olive Garden? If you love Olive Garden and you're listening to the show, I'm gonna break your fucking heart. All of the pasta and shit like it's all pre-made stuff. It all just shows up frozen and they just microwave it. Like,
go somewhere nicer.
Well,
it's not a date. Taking bitches to Olive Garden.
The other thing they do, which bugs me as a human being, because I really enjoy cooking as just like a hobby. Like, I enjoy making a good meal. Mm-hmm. And when you cook pasta, you're not supposed to add olive oil to the water because then the sauce doesn't stick to the noodles because it's all just lubed up. Mm-hmm. And
Lubed Up Noodles.
That'll be the name of the episode.
5, Lubed Up Noodles.
And
censor that, iTunes.
And they don't salt their water either when they make the pasta. And so it's like they literally fuck everything up with how they make pasta. So one, not only are you getting a microwave pasta dish that you could probably get as like a banquet meal, because I'm pretty sure banquet is just Olive Garden that's been sitting out for too long.
Yeah.
And so you could just go so you could go pay $1 for it at Walmart and then reheat it. Or you could just go and pay $12 for a plate of spaghetti that's been fucked up that you could make right for less than $1 at your house.
Served by teenagers.
Served by surly teenagers. And so help me God, they're starting to hire like a bunch of Tumblr-esque people in there.
Oh, yeah.
Because the last time I was in there, the person who like walked us to the table was like...
a suicide girl?
No, they weren't. We should legitimately open a restaurant called the Dapper Dads and have Suicide Girls work as our wait staff, because so help me God,
I'd be in that bitch all the time.
That's the only place I would eat every day.
Menus over my lap.
Just pictures of the fountain, like
Lubed Up Noodles. You feel me?
What if we go on Undercover Boss? We go on Undercover Boss. The CEOs of Dapper Dads are going undercover.
And then they're like, no, they don't have any employees, so never mind.
All they have is Suicide Girls, and none. It's exactly what you'd expect from a place called Dapper Dads that has specialties called the Lubed Up Noodle.
I follow Suicide Girls on Facebook, of course.
As do I.
And one day I was like...
Shout out to Suicide Girls.
Yeah, shout out to Suicide Girls. Like, sponsor us. I mean, we don't even need the money.
No,
we just need the titties.
I mean, like, honestly, if Suicide Girls wanted to sponsor us, I wouldn't even ask them for any money. They could just send us, like, headshots, and we would just talk about them on the show. So
that'd be nice.
If you're a Suicide Girl, or you know a Suicide Girl...
Aspiring Suicide Girl,
sure. Especially aspiring, who are looking to maybe get some... What do you want to call it? Promotion?
I guess it sounds like we're winking about something.
If you want to,
got a promotion for you.
Promise we were not winking that whole time. If you want to send us something, we will definitely 100% talk about it on the show. And per usual, we might as well use this to plug. If you send us stuff to the email address or give us stuff to talk about on Facebook, we will address it on the show.
No matter what.
No matter what it is, we have no restrictions. We have no limits. It is a free country.
We are the bosses.
It's kind of like running your own business. Like, we can make our own rules. Very poorly.
That's why it's also ramshackle.
So aspiring.
Suicide Girls, when I was like 14, my sister's friend got her a like membership to it, and my sister was like, "No, I left it open," and 14-year-old me was like, "That's why I've been formed into like in a certain
literally,
type
I was
of woman."
going to say I think that like Suicide Girls shaped who like my type that I like as a person.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it's like I think everybody, like, as they grow as people, their type changes somewhat. So, like, at certain ages, you can be like, well, I was definitely into this type of girl more than at this time in my life.
Yeah.
And girls can say the same thing. They can be like, I was into this type of dude or not.
I always say, I ain't got no type. Bad bitches is the only thing I like.
I don't got no type. Nah. Bad bitches is the only thing that I like.
But that's a type.
And for some reason, nobody gets the reference whenever I make that joke because people are like, what do you like? I'm like, I ain't got no type. Kind of like in the medical episode. What did you keep saying to the gonorrhea doctor?
Oh, I woke up like this.
I woke up like this and nobody got it.
Yeah. What the fuck?
How come nobody gets our topical rap references?
Because people suck.
People do suck. Unless you're listening to this, we love you.
Yeah, you probably get it, and you're probably like, these guys are funny, and I love their topical rap references.
Topical.
Topical.
I think that should be our first shirt. It just says topical with the logo on it.
I like it. Put it on my grave. That was episode 5.
5 minutes of
Suicide Girls in restaurants. Oh, yeah, and also back to my thing. So if I'm at home and I tweet negatively about a restaurant and they're like, we'll give you this, but I've never been there, so am I just on the come up of like all these gift certificates because they think, don't steal this fucking idea, let me do it.
Everybody's gonna steal the idea.
I'm gonna do it tonight. Who should I go after? What's
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, fuck.
Go after Chick-fil-A.
And
because they are so about customer service.
Yeah.
That literally the second someone is unhappy, like if somebody's like, hey, I got a packet of Chick-fil-A sauce that expired yesterday, they're going to be like, sir, here's a $50 gift certificate.
House. We're so sorry. It's a house and all the rooms are filled with chicken sandwiches.
Sir, we heard you wanted a puppy as a kid, so we got you 3 dogs and made a $10,000 donation in your name to the animal shelter of your choice.
They got to cover up how awful they are. So yeah, I'm going to tweet at Chick-fil-A, and then I'm just going to come up on a gift card and never have a bad experience there. This could be genius. Pending.
Copyright, trademark, Dapper Dads. Anything licensed and used by the Dapper Dads Corporation is thereby henceforth property of the Dapper Dads Corporation.
I'm going to tweet them, and they're going to be like, we already heard the episode, and we just recorded
How
it. And
great
like,
would
how
that
did
be?
you do that? And they're like, we're fucking Chick-fil-A.
We're friends with Apple.
I'm like, it's on my computer. Oh, yeah, we have your computer, and we need to talk.
We need to talk about your Suicide Girls.
Damn.
God.
Yeah, but I looked on Facebook, and like, oh shit, ton of my friends follow Suicide Girls, and some people that I wouldn't have expected.
That's what I love is how Facebook gives you the recommend. They're like, so and like 50 other friends like this. Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's like a bunch of girls and stuff, and I'm like, wow, you're into Suicide Girls? Now I like you more.
Like, I remember back in the day, like there was some app you could have where it would show you which of your friends like Nickelback on Facebook, so you could, and then it also gave you an option to unfriend them for liking Nickelback, which to me, like, okay, nobody likes Nickelback, but that's such an extreme option to go to. Like, to me, the only reason it would be suitable to do that for like a band would it be if it was like Insane Clown Posse, where they have like a violent fan base.
And there goes our fan base.
Man, if you're a juggalo and you're listening to this, I'm not going to say that I personally hate you, because odds are I probably personally don't. But as a culture, I think, like, did you ever see the Workaholics episode?
Yeah, fucking course. That was the first one I saw.
The very end, where they're like, nope, they are just walking, talking diarrhea people. That has been my steadfast opinion of juggalos ever since
family. Well, I have a tattoo to show you that I never thought I'd have to.
Who's fucking with my ninjas? I hate that. I cannot think of a single redeemable thing about the culture of juggalos that I can even appreciate, because like I have friends.
They're a gang.
Well, they are a gang, and
legally,
they're classified by the FBI as a gang. And when you're classified by the government as a gang, you can't just be like, "Oh, it's a conspiracy." It's like maybe something about your message is making people like when you literally have songs about just like hacking bitches up with a hatchet, like, and then there's literally been like articles I've read where it's like the 15 most violent crimes committed by juggalos, and they're like,
I mean, that's shooting fish in a barrel.
I mean, like, yeah, that's kind of like being like, here's the 15 trashiest people we saw at Walmart, and it's like, today, this week, this month,
I need more data
since the opening of the store. Can you be a bit more strict on your category here, because that's going to depend on how interested I am in the article.
Have you ever been asked if you're down with the clown?
I have been. Okay, here's what I've been asked. I've been asked if I'm down with the clown. I've been asked if I'm a ninja. And at which point I was like, I legitimately thought they were referring to like
just a ninja,
like a For Honor, like play as a ninja. And then I don't know. I had an old boss who was like a
juggalo.
He was a kind of juggalo.
A juggalette.
No, he was. Oh, I hate that term. Juggalette makes me so like. There was one time I saw a thing where it was like, check out what these fucking disgusting juggalos are doing, and it's like this girl was literally like, hand jobs $2.50, blow jobs $5. On like outside of like the dark carnival or whatever, and like her boyfriend was sitting there with her, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we just got."
I was trying to go to the gathering of the Juggalos.
You will not. I don't even care if ICP contacts me and they say, "Hey, man, we want to sponsor the podcast." Like,
no, you've got to be fucking kidding me. I know, like, of some artists who have played, they pay you so much money.
Do they really?
Yeah, like because it's a fucking ridiculous thing to go do.
Yeah.
And then the crowd like assaults you and throws things at you.
Yeah.
And then if you get through that, they like the crowd embraces you, and that fan base will make your like regular record sales like skyrocket.
That is the
because
one,
they're such a they're so dedicated.
I realize I've been ragging on ICP for the last 5 minutes, but the good points that I will point out about them as a band that they do give a lot back to their community. If you actually look into it, they're from Detroit, which is it's hell on earth. Let's be real. And for we have Kid Rock coming out of Detroit, who's just going out like he's the new Trump. I feel like, because he's like, yeah, fuck Obama, and it's like he's not even in office, man, and he's running for like Congress now or something.
Yeah, and
2017's wild.
And he was a rapper, and then he's like a country star.
No, he wasn't even a rapper. He was a new metal artist, and
there's a lot of rapping. I had that album as a kid
with the Ba song on it.
There's gonna be 2 hits. Me Hitting You and Kid Rock's Ba with the Ba playing in the background. You got the queued up. But yeah, also ICP, like, you got to give it to him for like a fan base. That's like
very rarely do you see
who else has a fan base like that.
I mean, I've seen different bands that have dedicated fan bases.
Yeah,
like
but I mean,
Slipknot has a very dedicated
there's a lot
fan
of those
base.
type of bands that do, but like a
following to the point.
Yeah,
like
to that
how many
extent.
bands do you have where they've not just created a band, but they've created a lifestyle to go around it too? It's like their whole brand is like branched up, but it's such a specific niche that people fall into. But it's such a weird social thing to think about.
The tattoos and the stickers on the back of the car.
I mean, not
like,
even that, just like the whole lifestyle
just like
of it.
you can see it,
it's
like
on
instantly.
like you know when you see a juggalo.
Day to day, you can probably spot a juggalo somewhere.
The worst part is I don't even have to see the Hatchet Man anywhere to know that I'm looking at a juggalo.
Oh yeah,
and that's what I mean. That's what I mean by like. By like they're
juggling and shit, it's ridiculous.
I have met some people who claim to be juggalos that are not terrible human beings.
I know.
And I will say that, but it doesn't mean that I and we've talked about this on the show before. Just because I don't agree with your views doesn't mean that I disagree with who you are as a human being.
I know like a handful of people that are really cool, good people that happen to also be juggalos. But it's the same thing with like a lot of things like church and stuff, where like if you don't shove it down my throat, we don't talk about it, it doesn't really matter. Like you can have, like you said, whatever views you want. It's when you're like just very pushy about it. Like obviously I'm a grown man. I would have gotten into ICP when I was 12 like everyone else did, and I was angry, and now I'm not so angry, and it just doesn't appeal to me. It's not my thing. So yeah, there's good people that are into everything, but yeah, it just has that connotation of like a garbage person.
I remember being 12 years old and seeing an ICP album for sale, like a new release, like Tuesday or whatever for music, back when they did it on Tuesdays.
Oh yeah, let's date ourselves. Back in my days when music came out on Tuesdays.
And I saw it, I don't even remember what album it was. This was like middle school, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. I want to check it out. So I downloaded like the singles off of LimeWire. And I listened to about 30 seconds of one, and I was like, that's enough. I don't think I'm going to need this anymore.
I've only heard a couple songs. I love the magnets. I said that recently to someone, and I was like, how do magnets work? And the person tried to explain it to me, and I was like, no, you're missing this great reference.
I think it's very rarely do you see such cultural, like, just lifestyles come forth from musicians. I've seen it in a lot of other things. Like, you see a lot of people who are obsessed with like Elvis. Yeah. Like some of the most like
some of the greats, Elvis, ICP.
Well, when I think of like let's think of things that are like truly American, And I think of like aesthetic.
Herpes.
Well, I think of like aesthetic choices and things that are like truly American, and I think like Elvis, Betty Boop, the whole Looney Tunes aesthetic that people have, where they just like Looney Tunes a lot,
because they're sad people.
And like I really hate to say it, but like Minions is starting to become like an American culture thing. I feel like, because it's just fucking everywhere. I don't want to touch on it. I don't want to talk about it because it fucking pisses me off. But it's something that I notice everywhere that I feel is very distinctively American in its culture.
Probably.
And I could say the same thing about ICP, but very rarely do you ever see a band that creates that much of a brand that influences people's lives so much. Because I mean, like, you don't see like you never saw the Beatles having like the Beatle Fest every year.
Yeah, that's
had, like,
one of the big things. And there's so many festivals nowadays. Like, I go to festivals for like smaller artists, but it's like, you know, a couple thousand people, like low end. It's not something you travel to the middle of nowhere, and it's just like
always
a fucking,
here in Illinois too.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of nowhere, and it's debauchery. Because Danny Brown went, and there's like a documentary of him going,
and even Danny Brown was like, "This is fucked up."
Yeah, and like I said, I would go just to like take it all in.
What if we did a Dapper Dad's field trip and did some like video?
I wanted to go
from the
this
carnival.
year because there's a bunch of artists that I actually like. And it just it just sounds like a fucking ridiculous thing that you have to take in person. I feel like it would be fun enough to take away from the fact that it's just a bunch of shitty people. And then we'll get there and they'll be like, oh, we heard episode 5, motherfucker. And then we die. If I die at the Gathering of Juggalos, it's like pretty much what I anticipated this world to be.
If you are interested in hearing Dapper Dad's live from the Gathering of the Juggalos, let us know. And it is a future episode we could possibly consider doing.
Yeah, someone fund this. Let's crowd source
I think what would be a really good project would be if we went, filmed ourselves there, and then did an episode about it and did like a visual to go with it.
Oh yeah,
that would be top
so
tier.
Very down.
If
Waka Flocka was there this year.
Was he really?
He's definitely been there before. I think he was there again.
You know, he's my vegan hero because, like, you think about people that are, like, vegan and they're like, oh, they're just a bunch of bullshit. But then, like, if Waka Flocka can do it, I can do it. That's been, like, my motto the entire time.
I went to fucking Pitchfork in Chicago, and there was an after party the second day, and it was, who was it? Valet. I don't know how you say it. He has a great song called Shell. We'll pop it in here real quick.
Sounds
Walked out Gucci, then crossed the street. Fuck it. Upset stomach, I had to eat. Ooh. Walked in Louis and spent 6G. Fuck it. Ran out of swishes to stuff the weed. Ooh. Walked in Shell. Ooh. Flamed up a L. Ooh. Bumpy Margels. Ooh. Feel like Braille. Ooh. Dirty ass ginger ale. Came through the mail. Ooh. I fucked your gal. Ooh. In the hotel. Ooh.
And he performed with a bunch of dudes on stage, and I'm at the bar getting a beer, and I walk up, and I realize he's jumping around performing with a small dog and a Gucci backpack for the entire performance.
That's my exact aesthetic.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I didn't think it was real for a while, and then I saw it move, and I was like, oh, it's very real. Then he played, I'm forgetting who else, Joey Perp was one of the headliners.
I love Joey Perp, if you're listening to this.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
Oh my God.
It was great. And he brings out Chance for Girls At, the Chance's verse on Girls At. And it was hysteria, and it was beautiful.
What always is every time Chance comes out.
Yeah, it was, you couldn't even hear the music. People were screaming.
Chance for Mayor Chicago 2020.
I was pumped, but I was also like, I've seen him a bunch of times. And it was just crazy. And then Southside from 808 Mafia was the other like headliner, and he ended up playing last. Everybody leaves after Joey Perp. I don't think they realized who Southside was and that he was like a big deal. So it's like pretty dead. Me and the people I'm with are like watching, and he's like playing 21 Savage. I'm going fucking crazy. I'm drunk as shit, turning up. No one's getting into it enough. And I'm like right in front of the stage. And then he goes, we got my partner from Atlanta. And fucking Waka Flocka comes out and performs Hard in the Paint.
Ooh.
And I forget the other one. Ole Do It, I want to say. I'm not sure. I fucking lost my mind. And he like dapped me up, and he's a gigantic man.
Yeah.
And I was like, I fucking love Waka. Oh God, he's so good.
Isn't
and it was
he though?
Like I was screaming like when the girls screamed when Chance came out. I was screaming like that for Waka. Then he left, and they brought out G Herbo, which was cool too.
Oh yeah.
And at one point they played Groupies by Future, which is my favorite Future song, and I've never heard it in a live environment. I kind of lost my voice, but it didn't completely go. And I'm like, if I didn't lose it for that, I will not lose this voice, because I was fucking screaming, yeah, they're fucking my groupies. Yeah, they're fucking my groupies. Oh my God. So that was like a fucking beautiful show.
Fantastic.
Shout out Waka.
Shout out Waka. Thank you for being one of my heroes and one of Drama's heroes. And thanks for Girl, the Way You're Moving Got Me in a Trance. Like, that was my shit back in like what, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. Flocka, if you listen to this, just drop something new.
Said Flockavelli 2 was coming out in October.
I've heard rumors
back.
But
I need it.
He lied about Flockavelli 2 for a long time though, because he was like, "Oh, this is gonna be recorded, and this is gonna be on it," and then he did like a Snapchat video and was like, "Yeah, I've been lying for like 12 years."
Yeah,
and I'm like, why? Why would you do this to me?
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. It's fucking God, he's good.
We found before the show today, Drama and I decided to go do a little sabbatical. We were just driving around, just doing some shit. And
drug deals.
Yeah, mostly drug deals. We stopped hypothetical drug deals. We go to people and we're like, "Would you like to buy some drugs?" And they're like, "Yeah."
And they say yeah, and I'm like, "Stop fucking doing drugs." Also, since we touched on heroin earlier, stop fucking doing heroin. Stop selling heroin. Stop doing heroin. If your friend's doing heroin, figure out how to stop that. It's such a stupid fucking thing.
My initial New Year's resolution was to
stop doing heroin. And I'm glad you finally did it.
My initial resolution was to punch a Nazi, but now I feel like I also need to punch people doing heroin. Not people doing heroin because like you can be a victim of that shit, but like people who are like selling openly if you're selling heroin, you're the biggest piece of shit in the entire world.
It's fucking stupid, and it's an epidemic.
I have always been under the belief that you could sit down with anybody and you could try and talk with them and you would find common ground with them, but if you sell heroin, I just assume you're human garbage and I wish that you would die. Let's just be real.
Yeah, kill your local heroin dealer.
And we can put that on a bumper sticker. Kill your local heroin dealer.
It's a fucking joke.
Heroin dealers are fucking jokes. I'm just gonna get pissed for the rest of the episode.
I'm very pissed. But
all the time.
Yeah, I'm just
regardless of the heroin thing. This is us.
My
like,
side
really
project I do want to. We should do a segment. What grinds my gears, because I am very angry about a lot of things,
as we are wont to do,
and I have some things to talk about.
Let's do that for episode 6. Let's do a grind my gears episode.
Yeah, we'll have a segment about all the things that fucking piss me off.
This is gonna have to be like a 12-parter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stop me, because when I get going, I'm thinking about one right now.
Because nobody wants to listen to a 2-hour podcast episode.
Listen to me rant like I'm an old man. What were you just gonna say?
I think if we eventually just start going into the rants, what's going to happen is it's going to be just like an Alex Jones style radio show.
Oh God, I want to be Alex Jones without all the like fucking lunatic. I want the lunatic theories, but I don't want them to be as harmful for people to believe as his views are. And I don't want to get into this.
No,
but I just love him screaming about shit. Like, that's me.
And like, in the water that turns the friggin' frogs gay.
Yeah.
The worst part is I know people who take him so seriously.
I know that's what I mean. It becomes harmful when people have a pedestal to say things. Like there's probably people listening to us and we've said something stupid and they're like, I believe that, and it's just like, I mean, like
if we fucked you up as a person or made you make a bad choice, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but like I'm also.
But we're also not like the world is run by reptiles.
See, the problem is there's like 17 different dimensions, and if you're going to be getting into it, the cinnamon dimension and the Mark Dennehy dimension are going to be between 5 and 6. And if you're really trying to find the sweet spot where the government is trying to get the reptilian aliens from, you got to land somewhere between 5.76 and 6.79. That's the only way you can get through the hollow Earth hole in Antarctica. Find the Greys, pull your way back out of the Illuminati, and figure out that Hillary Clinton really was running a sex ring out of a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. Folks, I don't want to brag or anything like that, but I could square up on Alec Baldwin, and I could just rip his head off of his fucking shoulder. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I didn't mean to be talking like that. Alec Baldwin, if you are listening to the show, I will assault you. Do you understand me? I will pull your skull and spine from your body like a predator.
And he's drunk and shirtless, because he's always drunk and shirtless and wooing. Do you think we can get this to him somehow?
Oh my God.
We could, Alex Jones, you want beef? You fucking got it. The Dapper Dads are at your fucking throat.
Fucking bring it, Alex Jones. I don't care how many fucking supplements you take or weird ass government bullshit you got behind you. So help me God, I will rip your head off your fucking neck.
Everybody that listens to this, tweet, email, whatever you have to do at
Alex Jones to mention the Dapper. We are not fucking around. Get Alex Jones to put the Dapper Dads on blast.
I want 5-star reviews. Let's not forget that. But I more so want you guys to tweet and get in contact with
I would
Alex
rather
Jones.
Have Alex Jones mention the Dapper Dads than any 5-star review, because that's going to open up such a broad audience. And I don't care if it's a hateful audience, they're still going to listen.
They're going to be hateful because they're all morons. And what I'm really hoping is this whole thing is like a shtick, and he fucking ends up like rounding all these people who believe him up, and he's like, get on the rocket ship to Mars, and then it just blows it up.
Like the Challenger?
And then he's just like, he like reveals himself, and he's like, actually, I'm pretty normal.
Like I
got rid of him.
Like it's like the leader episode of The Simpsons where he just got the spaceship in the bar. But it's just like a big Alex Jones head with wheels. This bean looks just like Alex Jones, and this bean looks just like Alex Jones.
God, I want a car that's just his head to drive around.
I saw the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile today when I was out driving around.
I know a guy who drives it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Maybe I saw him driving it around. Ask him.
Shout out John.
Hey, John, if you were in Rockford today, I saw you driving the Wienermobile and screamed, "Born to Rise." You drove past, and then I went, "I wish I was an Oscar Mayer Wiener." You probably didn't hear me, but that's okay. If you saw a 60-foot man leaning out of a car screaming at your Wienermobile, it was me.
Yeah, that's like the type of hot dog you would eat, is a car-sized hot dog.
Well, I thought someone was bringing me lunch, and then I got kind of mad when it wasn't.
Drove away, and you were just stomping through town.
I stomped on 2 cars and used them as rollerblades to go after the Wienermobile. We were looking for another item to give away on the show at Salvation Army, and we found those large utensils that you can hang on the wall.
Yep.
And we were going to give them away as Fast Finger Slim's childhood utensils.
But they weren't big enough.
They weren't big
Believe it or
enough.
not.
A really fun story about a big wooden spoon like that is...
I like it.
My mom and one of her best friends, when they were growing up, the way they tell the story, they were drunk, but we all know better. And she was living with her first husband at the time, and they were, of course, a young married couple who obviously didn't have a lot of money. And are you familiar with Underwood deviled meats in the can?
I don't think so.
So
That's what I call my dick, though.
Underwood deviled ham.
Yes.
I call mine Underwood deviled chicken.
That's what I call my balls, because it's Underwood. That was episode 5. Thank you.
Topical. But they make it different meats. They make like a chicken pate, a roast beef pate, like a ham.
Only the highest quality meats.
Of course, it's definitely not made out of like snouts and assholes or anything.
The highest quality
I was addicted
meats.
to it as a child because I remember my mom made some sandwiches with the chicken for a luncheon, and it literally just tasted like wet salt. And I was this is the tastiest thing I've ever had in my life.
Grosser than the Doctor episode.
Nothing is grosser than you surprising me with your friend getting the pus squeezed out of his dick.
We didn't have to bring it up again. I don't think that was that
every
gross.
episode.
Yeah, it's
every
like
episode from now on. But her husband didn't like the roast beef. He only liked the ham, and they had 1 can of ham and 1 can of roast beef in the house. And the thing about the label on it is that it was just like folded in and glued with a drop of glue on the top. Mm-hmm. And when you opened it up, there was like recipes for Underwood deviled meat products, and it's like mix it with Jell-O and put it in a mold and serve it to people you hate. That's all I believed like 60s and 70s cooking was add gelatin to it. It's okay to put your garbage in it. People will eat it.
While you're smoking a cigarette and you're pregnant.
Get a bunch of ashes in it. Have a deep fried cigarette cheeseburger. Nobody cares. Health isn't real. It's
what I had today.
That's what I had.
Deep fried cigarette burger.
I
hold the filters.
Hold the filters. And then I eat the unfiltered ones. And so they very carefully took the paper off of the ham and put it on the roast beef and switched them because they wanted to eat the ham. Mm-hmm. And so obviously young couple, they work like 80 hours a week. They didn't have any time to do dishes. The only dishes they had were the large utensils hanging on the wall. And so they took the big spoon and they tried to and these cans are about this big. They're like the size of cat food cans. Mm-hmm. And so they're trying,
because it's just cat food.
Right. And they're in the back of this car just dying, trying to eat this with a spoon. And then the best part about that story is her husband came home, opened up the ham, saw that it was brown, not knowing it was roast beef, and threw it out because he thought it was bad.
Wow. Yeah, that's I wish the world was as simple as that. I want all my meats in the can.
And then they went to the diner and had a nice vanilla milkshake together, and everything was fine. Uncle Buck was out in Korea, and everything was jolly back here in America. We had a greased farm pig race on Sunday. Old Pastor Brown was out, and he let the pig out of the pen.
And they tweeted about it. I think.
That's episode 5.
Yep. All right, guys. It's been nice.
Just uncomfortable breathing for like the rest of the time.
Yep, that's all we've got.
Yeah. Life sure is getting dark. And then Sound of Silence plays for the rest of the episode, but getting increasingly louder until it's just static.
And our fans are dedicated, so they're like, we're going to let this ride.
I think what would be great is if after a while people started like looking for secret meaning behind it. Like, let's say we do somehow get popular with this, and then years down the line people are like, no, they were trying to tell us something secret. Listen to what they talk about in a sequential order. If you notice, they talk about ICP at 23 minutes through 27 minutes. Yeah. But then they talk about Alex Jones from 39 minutes to 45 minutes. And if you do the math and you divide 39 by 45, add 17 to it because 17 is my lucky number, you're going to find there's a wormhole that opens up where time is just between space and everything else. Crazy shit.
I like Yeah, I like everything about that. It's also true, so fucking do it already.
If you haven't seen True Detective, that was a True Detective.
Ron, I haven't. I'm a piece of shit.
So good. If it's what it is it's an 8-episode miniseries.
I don't want to get into
No, really. I won't get into it, but like really, if you're looking for a good TV show to watch, and if you have, because like people watch Stranger Things in a whole day, they were like, it was so good, I just watched all 8 episodes. Good. You can do the same thing with True Detective if it's like a Sunday, you're not doing anything, you got off work, and
what if I don't want to?
Do you want to watch Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson as Louisiana cops having banter going back and forth while hunting down supernatural shit with a drug dealer?
No.
It's really good.
It's too much.
It's really not that much. It's not like the show Supernatural where it's like, here's ghosts.
I haven't seen that either.
It was a good show for like the first couple seasons, and then they started running out of bad guys because everybody was supposed to die in season 5, and it's like, okay, he fights God's half-brother's college roommate, Stu. He's really actually evil, it turns out. That's the first one of the episodes so far. How far are we into this? And we just got one burp.
45 minutes in.
45 minutes in, and we only got one burp of the episode. Nobody's getting Fast Finger Slim's childhood utensils today.
Wait for it. Just one episode, I'm just doing 5 back-to-back right out of the gate. If we do that episode where I drink 6 beers in an hour, it's going to be a burpee episode.
I mean, that's fine as long as somebody's getting something free for it.
Oh, yeah. You'll get something. You know what I've been saying a lot?
What have you been saying a lot?
And it doesn't work well is, in Kanye, I think it's Freestyle 4, where he's like, oh shit, my dick out.
Oh shit, my dick out.
I love to say that when I get excited. Not like sexually excited.
Is it because you're describing what's happening in the situation?
I'm just like, if someone's like, oh, we got a free pizza, I'm like, oh shit, my dick out. Just because it's funny.
I'm sure that goes really great over at the office.
Yeah, well, this is the office, and you're looking at it. But
this is why we don't have a visual component for the show yet.
Yeah, because my dick's out.
Too many dicks out.
What I've realized, though, is it only works in person. If you text it, it has a way different meaning because I don't like punctuation. So it sounds like I'm saying, oh shit, my dick out, which is a different thing I'd like to start saying.
Which creates a beautiful mental.
Oh, my grandma is a wonderful woman.
Please tell me you did not text your grandma, oh shit, my dick out.
My grandma can't text. One time I texted my mom very sexually explicit Plies lyrics. Bust It Baby Part 2.
Why on earth would you send that to?
I didn't mean to, obviously.
Who were you trying to send it to?
Come on, we don't need to get into this. Who do you think I was sending it to? A whore. Who wants to hear fucking Plies lyrics?
Well, I thought you were trying to text them to me, but I guess I'm not.
Yeah, you were the whore. This was a long. It was Plies. This was a long time ago. So I typed it up and I just clicked and then it said mom and I was like, oh no. So I sent a series of texts like, no, throw your phone away. Throw your phone away.
Have you ever? I think the worst time I ever did something like that was I was living with a girl who I was engaged to, and we had just broken up, but like we were still in that weird phase where
you're living together.
Where you're living together, and it's like it's just awkward because like you
nice.
Just hop in the shower with him, and then they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Washing my nuts." What are you doing? Like,
also washing my nuts.
Yeah. And I was texting a buddy of mine because I was like, "Yeah, she's bad. She's being a bitch. She's screaming like this, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
Blah. And I accidentally sent it to her because I was having a conversation with her and my friend at the same time, and she just goes, "Wow," and I was like,
"Yeah, wow."
I was like, well, it's the truth.
Yeah. I love that when you do that and you're like, well, I'm just going to double down.
I mean, my biggest thing in life, I realized, is that all of my apologies to people are basically, sorry, I lied. I just did it to get what I wanted. And so like,
it's like when you say, I'm sorry that you're offended by that.
Like that's my biggest thing my biggest thing to say is I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm not sorry for any of my actions.
I love backhanded shit like that.
It's so what's even better is when it goes over people's heads. And that's what makes me feel like a superior human being is when people are like, hey, you're really being kind of an asshole. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I maybe you shouldn't interpret it that way. And you're like, yeah, you're right.
And then it's the same thing again. People think I'm so sarcastic, but a lot of times I'm just being very honest. And they're like, he's so funny. And it's like, yeah, you fucking idiot. And they're like, oh, he's so good.
You have influenced me in a very terrible way, I realized. Because, because I realized that I now have no tolerance for people lying to me about things. And specifically people lying to me about things. I mean, people who come up to my car and ask me for money.
I don't know why this keeps coming up. I'm not that bad of a guy about it.
You're not that bad of a guy, but you're one of the only people I know who's really blunt with people like that. And I respect that because it's
how I grew up.
Because like I don't like people lying to me. Like my biggest pet peeve in the entire world is having my time wasted.
That's true. For some reason, I thought you were implying that I lied to you so much that you were like, I'm fucking sick of these liars. And I was like, I only lie to you like the average amount that I lie to everyone. I mean, I only this whole charade of a life up.
I mean, pretty much 50% of the information I put on here is correct. So like you can't.
I've said some things.
You can't keep me held accountable for everything I say on here. But I was this guy came up to me and I thought he was gonna like ask me for money or something.
These cheeseburgers.
Well, I was walking away and he's like, hey, excuse me, and I was like, sorry, bro, don't have any money. And he was like, no, I don't need money. And I was like, I can't give you a ride anywhere either.
I need life advice.
He was literally
just turn around and he's shot. He's like, I just need help.
He was literally just like, hey, how do I get to this place of business? And then I was just like, oh, it's just like across the street over there and then you're fine. He was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, it's kind of the city though too.
It is the city. You know, it's because I now have this weird like mentality going, because it's like literally the other day I was at work and I was sitting in my car on my lunch and this guy came up and he's like, hey man, I'm just trying to catch the bus, you got any quarters? And I was like, sorry man, all I do is plastic, as I have a big cup full of change in my car for the tollways. I know. And I was like, sorry man,
that's the best lie is I only have a debit card and this is one of my last cigarettes. Those are my two. I'm not as mean anymore. I just say those two things.
What pisses me off though is when you tell people no, but then they keep asking if you have other things. Like there was one time I was in the Steak and Shake drive-through at like 1:30 in the morning with a friend, and this guy comes up to me and he goes, hey man, my car broke up over here on the road and I need to buy a gas can that's like $8 and I need to get gas and blah blah. He's like, so if you got like $8, that'll be good. And it's
a lot of money to ask for. And you're going too big.
Well, and I was with a couple of friends and one of the friends was like, man, if we just each pitch in a couple of like $2, that's like $8 there, and that's what's $2, you know? And so we gave him $8 and he's like, could you make it 10? And I was like, get the fuck out of here, you fucking asshole. I was like, you cannot take my charity and then ask for more on top of it. Because I consider myself a very kind, giving person. Like I consider time so valuable that like when I offered like, hey, I will help you move, or like I will come over and help you with this project, it's like that's me giving like a very that's the best thing you can give someone is your time and energy. But then when people try to like take advantage of that, it just sends me into a spiral of pissed off. That's
one of the reasons why I have that like preconceived notion about people coming up to my car is I used to go, let's get topical. Stayed in Madison Billiard.
Topical.
Downtown. It's not even open. I don't know when it closed. I used to go there all the time as a kid to shoot pool, and then as like an 18-year-old, and they would just let me drink because they just didn't card anyone.
Not the first time I've heard this about a pool hall in general. I feel like pool halls.
Shout out to it was Leisure Times. I don't even know what the fuck.
Shout out to the Rockford pool hall.
I think that's
Have you ever been over there by
Maine?
Off Main and Auburn there?
Yeah, that was Leisure Times.
Oh man, I love that. It's still open.
I know. I was there not too long ago. You get a fucking strong ass drink for like $3. It's
it's in that perfect part of town where like,
and you will have to fight someone.
You will have to fight someone
every time I'm in there. I'm like, you glance at someone and they're playing pool. I think it's okay to watch pool, and then you glance at them and then you gotta fucking fight them.
I know. It's like what about pool makes young men so competitive? That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, but my thing with State in Madison was I used to go there all the time. I would be there weekly, and every fucking Friday night the same guy would come and he would say, my car ran out of gas. I need the gas can, and to put gas in it, my wife is in the car. She's pregnant. For fucking like 2 years.
That's and too many things.
And as soon, that's how lies work. Where you're like, if I just put enough things in it, it sounds believable because there's so much
Not
shit.
true.
And it's
lies
like
have to be so basic.
Yeah, and so he would say that, and then I would just start saying like, she's still there. It's been like a month, and then he would just walk away because he knew. They know. So I would be like, fucking. There also used to be a lady, because it's right by CJ's Topical. There used to be a lady who would wait for people to watch her, like walking down the street, and fall. And then you go and help her. And then she's like, thank you so much. I'm just going through a rough time and I need money. Like a very well orchestrated thing. To the point where I'd be there with like my sister and someone else one time. We're standing there and the lady will be walking up the street and she'll look at you and wait to see you looking and then just hit the ground. And my sister's like, oh my God. And I'm like, no, she does it all the time. Do it. And it just sounds like I'm like, no.
Because like to outside people who aren't used to that stuff, they think you're such a cold bastard. And it's like, I'm really not. I just don't fall for people's bullshit.
She would lay on the ground and go, oh.
That's like as you get closer, it just gets like louder and hammier.
And then eventually, if you didn't do anything, she'd just pick herself up and wait.
That's what they all do, because like literally the people there was one time I was at work and a guy got caught shoplifting, and it was literally the dumbest shit. It was like cake mix and a Coke, like just it was $13 in food is what it turned out being. And they grabbed the guy and they were dragging him in. His pants fell down, And so one of the security guards is holding his pants up, and this guy is howling is the only verb that I feel is appropriate. Yeah. He is howling, and he's going, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to have a heart attack. I only get 13% oxygen in my blood. And then here's the kicker, folks.
There's always such weird shit.
Here's the kicker. He goes, I've got glycerin needles in my pocket. Reach in and give me one. And and that is something that I don't think very many people will fall for, regardless of their intelligence level.
There's that many people that will hear or say that statement in their life.
Well, and then the best part is the security guard at the time. He goes, I'm not reaching in your fucking pocket. And then the guy, I remember they drug him back to the office, and I walked by the office, and the guy's going, just like screaming in there, and my guy, he's going, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut the fuck up.
Classy.
And then he goes, I don't care if you're gonna have a heart attack. The cops are coming, and
we're gonna have to bleep this all out. I don't care if you're gonna have a beep. The beep are coming. But back to my one point that was way back now. That's my grandma's a wonderful woman.
Shout out, Grandma.
She's like a badass. Like, she'll beat the shit out of you and then bake you cookies. And
that's drama's grandma for you,
yes, folks. I love her to death. And one of the things she said my entire life is just go, piss on them. Like, if you're like, this person was acting stupid, she goes, piss on them. So now when I say, oh, shit, my dick out. I got to think of how it even goes. Oh, shit, my dick out in text. I feel like it's like, it's the new, piss on them.
Like, literally, when you're 60 and have grandkids, like, your grandkids are going to be like, there's grandpa screaming, shit, my dick out.
Grandpa, this guy was being a jerk at school. Oh, shit, my dick out. And they're going to be like, Jesus Christ.
They're going to be like, Grandpa, are you saying we need to shit your dick out, or are you going to shit your dick out?
All of it.
Grandpa, how do I deal with this situation? Shit, my dick out.
This reminded me of another great thing I used to say that doesn't work without context. One time I was watching a TV show with someone, and it was a kid being very excited about something. Mm-hmm. And the person I was with meant to say either he's probably shitting his pants because he's so excited, or he has a boner because he's so excited. But you know when you have two thoughts and they just fuck together? So she said, he's shitting boners. And I lost my mind because someone's so excited that they're shitting boners. So for like years, I told all my friends this, and whenever something exciting would happen, be like, I'm shitting a boner. And then to the outside, people are like, I don't know what that means.
I've never heard this before, and it's fucking terrifying.
It's terrifying, yeah. So don't forget, when you get real excited, all you Dapper Dad fans, when something exciting happens, remember to say either, shit, my dick out, or I'm shitting boners, or, I guess they're the same thing. Yeah. Everything's come full circle. My life is just a couple things that keep coming back, and I wish it would get better.
I would like it if our next iTunes review was, this podcast was so good it made me shit boners.
Oh, yeah, please do.
If someone drops that, we will send you one cursed item that we find at the Salvation Army.
Yes.
It's going to be a surprise. We can't tell you what it is, but it's going to be one cursed item. So if you leave us a 5-star review saying this podcast was so good it made me shit boners, the item is yours.
Yes.
We will look at your review. We will tag you on Facebook.
We will get in touch with you.
And make it like we'll have your item.
We'll somehow get in touch with you. Put it on iTunes and then email us, dapperdadspodcast@gmail.com.
Give us a proof of purchase.
Yeah, we
send us a screenshot from your phone of you listening to the podcast.
Yeah, and you have a picture of you with today's newspaper. And then they're already like, fuck, there's still newspapers?
Giving them...
It's a dying media, and I want to get to the bottom of it. I have nothing. Fucking newspapers. When was the last time you looked at a newspaper?
Man, someone's going to make me spend $2.25 on a Sunday edition just to get a cursed item.
I remember going downtown to the Topical Rockford Register Star and getting the paper out of their fucking thing. I'm an old man.
I remember as a Boy Scout going to the Rockford Register Star building and getting really excited when they told me that the very top floor was haunted.
That you could stop the presses. Stop the presses!
Hit the button. That takes 3 days to power back on.
And you just put it on top. Need 2 words to end it. Screw Flanders. Bon appetit. Can we just get it out of the way? Like, it's hard to describe the podcast, but if I had to, I would say it's a fan podcast for The Simpsons and Designer.
If I had,
I don't think people know our fandom
our
for
exact
designer.
aesthetic.
The rap, give them a taste.
Hey, man, know what time it is, man? We're going to come right doing the motherfucking Dapper Dance podcast, man. You know how it is. Just do it for fans. One more time for the fans. Like, give it a brah, brah. Give it do it one more time, man. One more time for the Dapper Dance. Be like, brah, brah.
Shout out to designer.
Shout out designer, man. If this gets to designer, we love you. Just, man, send us some Dapper Dad shit going. Brah.
Alex Jones and designer.
If I had
Do
to
you remember when he got arrested?
Designer or Alex Jones?
Hopefully both, but designer specifically. He got arrested and he did the video like first day out, like immediately walking
And
out.
like he was
fine.
the most cryptic line.
And I screenshotted it a bunch of times because I was trying to get like a real good one. And then it was just in my phone, so I sent it to you. And you were like, "Wait, what's going on?" And I sent you another one, and you were like, "Is he FaceTiming?"
I thought that you were
And I was
FaceTiming
like,
designer.
yeah, and then I told you, yeah, and you were like, "Make him do something so that I know." And I was like, I can't screenshot it. He's doing. You see how fucking hyper he is. Like fucking designer would get out of jail and FaceTime me.
Well, I remember when he was like, I watched the TMZ video of him walking out of the courtroom, and they were like, "Designer, how's it feel to be out?" And he's like, "You know what time it is, man. Man, this motherfucker, man, to go to
no
the
one
studio."
has that energy like that.
I wouldn't
man.
even call it energy. I call it like meth, like years of. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him as a person because like I've heard demos of him before he got popular with Panda. And then he starts sounding like a Percocetted up Future for like a couple of years. And then like the stuff I've been hearing coming out of him recently, he actually sounds very, very clean.
Yeah.
He was on Murrah Mass's album. He did a track called Around the World where he actually sang quite a bit on it. And his rapping was like, like he was literally like, all around the world I go around. Like I was like, I can actually understand what
and
like the lyrics are bullshit, but like I can understand what he's saying.
Yeah, shout out to designer.
Shout out designer. If I had to pick an exact aesthetic for this show, I would say it's a mixture of Ralph Steadman artwork and Metro Boomin beats.
God, I like that.
With fueled by America and Newports.
Definitely Newports. Newport, I'm still trying to get small cigarettes in small hands, 2017.
God bless Newports.
I'm a marketing genius. Someone hire me for something already because my ideas are like, and I'm just giving them away.
I mean, just ask the Dapper Dads anything. We'll give you ideas.
Yeah.
We got opinions.
Yeah, the best opinions. Clearly, you're listening. You know this is fucking top.
Especially if you've made it in this stupid fucking Lubed Up Noodle episode.
Yeah, what if this is the worst episode ever?
What if like we look back on this and we're like, this was literally the shittiest episode
Yeah, I was already thinking that. I'm like, yep, we've ran out.
We've peaked.
We jumped the shark.
We're going to be on episode 146 just talking about like what our cats were doing during the week. And it's like,
Yeah.
man, this show fell off after episode 6.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, oh, this has to go on forever. Like this is the foreseeable future.
We eventually just start making up excuses to not like see each other for the podcast. Just being like, oh, I'm getting my toes done Friday night.
Yeah. I'm getting my toes cut off, so I'm just not going to. I just don't think I need them anymore.
No, I'm getting drawn and quartered Friday. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to the podcast drama. Sorry.
I thought you were going to say I'm getting drawn in court. I'm not actually going to court. I'm just in it for the drawings.
No, I just want to see a really interesting courtroom sketch of myself.
Yeah, like that Guy Fieri one.
Could we get a stenographer down here to actually draw us doing the podcast? Because like we don't want photos or anything.
Isn't a stenographer the person that types it?
Both. We could get someone to do the transcript.
We
need a stenographer.
I need that designer fucking shit.
What I need is I need a stenographer doing doing my designer impressions while we have a courtroom sketch artist sketching us out during the show.
Yeah, with huge dicks.
Just laying on the table.
There's not enough table for these dicks. Oh shit, my dick out.
Oh shit, my dick out. Do we end it with that? I don't know where we can go from that.
Yeah, we've definitely peaked. I'm gonna stop listening. Worst shit ever. Hey, at least there's no pussy dicks in this one.
No, we mentioned it once.
Yeah, but like a new pussy dick.
Oh yeah, if it will.
You got anything to?
I don't got any pussy dick stories. I'm afraid I don't know. I don't have any dick stories left.
I don't have any dick left. Ran it out.
I shit all my dicks out.
Yeah, I shit all my dicks out. Oh god. The reviews for this one are going to be shitty.
They're going to be so bad. They're going to be like, 3 stars. They only talked about shitting their dicks out for like 45 minutes.
And ICP. Looking back, we're going to scrap this one.
I think what I want to do is for a future episode, do a giveaway of the like Wild West cowboy movie that ICP did.
I didn't know.
Oh yeah, dude, they did like this. Like,
can we talk about?
It's like Wild Hustlers or something like that, with
course.
a Z and like
Of
dollar
course.
signs on the end.
What else?
It all looks like a new Twin Peaks episode when you watch it. Just the cinematography. So just picture like Violent J in clown makeup sitting at like a saloon casino round table with like a cowboy hat on and a 6-shooter.
What I think about every night when I go to bed.
That's been a recurring lucid dream that I have, playing poker with ICP in a.
Can we talk about how many like fucking weird Western movies? Didn't Outkast wasn't like Idlewood?
What is it specifically about rap culture that draws out like odd Western movies? But
I
it's
guess
always like
you could
underground.
shoot people like with very few repercussions back then.
Is it? Yeah, it's like it's a romanticized.
I'm the horse.
Whores too. Yeah, you could just shoot whoever and like
shoot whores.
I think what most intrigued me about living back then would be like if you like married somebody at like 13 and fucked your life up by 17, you could just move 11 miles away and start a whole new life with a whole new family.
That was a weird statement.
Well, because
I like to think about marrying a 13-year-old.
Well, because back in the day they only lived to be like 28, so by the time you made it to 15, they were like,
God, the good old days. And this fucking existence.
They were back in the good old days. You hit 14 and they were like, well, you better stop putting your retirement money away before the engines come for you. Do you have 7 children yet? Because 4 are gonna die of typhoid fever and scurvy.
Oregon Trail.
2 are gonna be taken away.
If you had to live in another era, what one would you pick?
Honestly, I've thought about this quite a bit. And
Sick.
I think about going back, and I see pros and cons to every type of lifestyle, like in different era of time. Because like, you know, it's
you
easy.
See both sides, like Chanel.
Well, it's like it's easy to romanticize like the 80s because like my mom grew up in the 80s, and so I saw a lot of the culture from that, you know. And it's like, man, how cool would that be? And there's like an 80s documentary series on Netflix where it's like, okay, like this seems like it'd be a cool time, but then you hear about like the war on drugs and the AIDS pandemic and like all the protests with Reagan and stuff, and it's like, oh, it was actually also just as shitty as now.
Yeah,
it's just a different. And so,
have you ever seen the documentary "The Decline of the Western Civilization"?
I have, and that's
2?
actually one of my favorite things to watch, just because it's so interesting. One, they paint just an interesting argument, which just shows that the music of the culture is what paints. Yeah. What's actually going on, you know? Like
I loved in that I believe it was Chris Holmes from the band Wasp when he's in the bathtub when he's in the pool.
Yeah.
And he wasn't supposed to do his interview, so he just gets drunk off vodka and he's fucking shit-faced, and his mom's sitting next to the pool and he's like, I love this vodka, and he just pours it on his face, and then he's like, my eyes hurt. And it's just like you see some like successful people like Ozzy Osbourne making bacon in the morning in his mansion, and like I believe members of Kiss, and then you see guys who are like, yeah, I lived in a van to be in this band that no one fucking...
I know, it's so terrible.
And my dad was like, I was supposed to be in that band. Like, shut the fuck up.
Your dad was the original Beatles drummer who got kicked out like right before they signed their first record deal.
Exactly.
I think if I had to go back to an era level, because what I'll do is I'll like, okay, my mom's generation was kind of cool, and then I think like, well, what about my grandpa's generation, you know, because he grew up in like the 50s.
Yeah, era. I don't want to go back to that one.
No, see, I keep thinking, and like I keep going back, and I eventually get to the point where I'm like, I wonder what it'd be like to live in like biblical Jerusalem, and where like
Jesus,
like what?
Oh Jesus, what's up today? How are you? You
not,
dap him up.
Not even.
He's like, keep.
Like, Jesus is designed. I'm walking in Jerusalem, and I just hear like,
he's walking on water.
Water that's turning into wine.
And he's like, let's fucking party.
Well, but that's why I'm curious about it, because it's like I think, where would I want to live? And it's like we have so much documented history going back, but when you go back to like that weird biblical era of like the 1500s and like, you know, well, because like you read all this stupid crazy Alex Jones shit on the internet where they're like, the earth was ruled by 8 immortal kings for 25,000 years and it's been erased from history, and it's like, has it really? But it's like you want to see 2.
Yeah, that was 2. It was 2. A wet one.
Man,
you're not gonna get 5.
You're not gonna get anything, but I like counting them every episode anyway. But I think like it'd be so cool to just go back from just a curiosity point of view, because that's who I am as a person. I'm just very curious about a lot of things, and the more I don't know about something, the more my drive is fueled to find out more about it, to the point where it becomes obsessive sometimes. And like I'm the type of person to like watch a TV show and really get into that TV show while I'm watching it, and then like it ends and I'm like, okay, whatever, I've got like 4 t-shirts from this and a bunch of memorabilia that I don't give a shit about, and then I hop on to the next thing and I go, and I'm really just curious about like what life and like that era of the world was like biblically, like in that whole era, because it's like there's so much stuff that's left up for interpretation, and it's like, oh, this is a metaphor. And it's like, well, was it really? And then like you get these crazy people who are like, nah, those 4-headed beasts and wheels of fire were absolutely real. And it's like, well, then where did they go? How come I don't have 4-headed beasts on wheels of fire riding around today? You know, so just for me personally as a human being, it would really quench this whole like, what the fuck was everyone doing back then thing I have going. And I feel like if I could go back and do it, I would just be bored as shit, because it would just be like people in the desert or like in these ancient cities, like making bread and like trading animal skins and shit, you know?
Is like, do you have like your current knowledge? Like, are you going back in time right now? Because if you go back, you're going to be like, where's my phone? Everything sucks. Well, there's not enough constant stimulation.
It's hot as shit out here. Like,
there's
it's so
no
quiet.
air. There's
like,
no one wipes their ass.
It
and
smells dirty as shit.
Yeah, it's just awful. Everything's awful.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think about it and it's like, wow, it'd be really cool to see what that time would be like. And then it'd be like, oh, wait, no Twitter. And so, like,
who am I going to tell about this?
No Apple Music. How am I going to listen to Designer about all this?
Yeah, exactly.
How about you? Where would you like to go back to?
I would totally go back to the 80s. Like, to where...
80s would be fun for you and me, I think.
Let me see. Like, if I was, like, 15 in, like, 83.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, good teenager. Because back then you could just, like, run away from home. And most people wouldn't kill you, or they would really kill the shit out of you. The good old days like, where it's either nothing or everything.
Like, hitchhike your way to New York and just really hope the guys
totally go to
like...
LA and, like, see... Like I said before, I have an affinity for, like, 80s hair metal. And I want to be deep in that shit.
See like all the shows at, like, Whiskey's Roadhouse and
like
stuff
Guns
back
N' Roses back then. Oh, God, yeah.
Like
and it
Motley
just seems
Crue
like...
back in the day.
Yeah, I'd fucking...
Sebastian Bach.
Yeah, Skid Row. God.
Oh, man, seeing Skid Row on Skid Row, that's where I would want to go.
It sounds so glorious, and it's just like a party. Like I don't read a lot because I don't know how to, but when I do, I read like Slash's book, like Tommy Lee's book, the Motley Crue book, like all the shit, and they all fucking die and come back, and it's just a fucking party all the time, and it just sounds so fucking sick.
Marilyn Manson's autobiography was my Bible when I was in middle school, and I specifically remember the story that fucked me up the most was when he was recording his very first album, when it was like Marilyn Manson and the Spooky Kids.
Yeah.
There was this girl who was like obsessed with him. Like, she would go out to like every show and like try to hang out with him at after parties and stuff like that. And he had a girlfriend at the time, and he loved his girlfriend very much. She was very sweet, but of course he's like a dirty coke fueled like fuck.
Yeah.
And
like everyone in the 80s.
And he said that it was like 88 or 89, and he was in South Florida, and he did like a bunch of coke, and he was listening to Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
It was like, let in the days go by. And he said he like blacked out, woke up, he was somewhere else, blacked out, and he was fucking this girl in a bathroom and coming inside of her while on the speakers Once in a Lifetime is playing, and it's the part where David Byrne goes, my God, what have I done? Let in the days go by.
God, I want that to happen. Not everything that happened, but I want to black out and wake up coming inside of a woman. But like, yeah, just that fucking part.
I want to have a moment like that just in my life where it's like, this is it. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm meant to be in the 80s.
And I could never listen to the Talking Heads song ever
without imagining Marilyn Manson
in
his
88.
own dick because he removed a rib.
He didn't do
that. I'm cutting your mic off. He sucks his own dick. I seen it. Seen it circa 94. I was live at the garden, and he fucking whipped it out and put it on the security guard's head, and then he sucked it. And then he sucked the security guard's dick. It was fucking sick.
Marilyn Manson, if you're listening to the show, don't listen to
him. I got come on my tour program. That's how old I am. I have tour programs. Hey, kids, you remember when you went to a concert?
And they
gave
you got
a book about the concert? And you could show all your friends how you went to the concert? Holy shit, we're old.
We're old as
I don't have them anymore because I don't keep things because I'm a terrible person.
My mom...
I saw Kiss several times.
I was
oh, yeah. And I had a tour program. I saw Alice Cooper front row.
Beautiful.
He cut his head off, sprayed blood onto my tour program. I was like 11.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, front row. I fucking... You remember... We're going to get so old right now. You remember how you
Dapper
had to, like...
dads, they're just a couple of old heads with radio.
You remember how you had to go to buy tickets?
Yeah.
You had to go. Listen, kids, you had to physically go stand in line. And what they would do is, like, draw one ticket. Everybody got a ticket in a line, just like a little fucking, like carnival ticket. And they draw a number. And then that's where the line started. It doesn't matter how early you were there.
No, it was
like a lottery.
Was.
And my dad gave me money to get the ticket to stand in line with them, and I fucking got the number one, like, first pick. So my dad grabbed the ticket and he bought like the front row. He was with his friends, so he bought 4 tickets for my family. The other guy, he got him like 4 tickets, so we had like the whole front row.
Nice.
For Alice Cooper when I was a kid, and he like throws out money with his face on it. He gets his head cut off. It was fucking crazy. And I am old as fuck. I'm as old as Alice Cooper, who will be 70 soon. Shout out to Alice Cooper.
2 stories.
You look like my grandma when you dance on stage now.
Fuck.
Piss on him.
Shit, now boners. Shit my boner out. Two stories I thought of while you were telling that. One, my mom used to have an entire box full of tour programs from like good old shows she saw back in the
too.
Like Queen, Peter Gabriel, David Bowie, like
Elton John. My dad had
these
Elton John
huge big names, and my dad threw them all away because he was like, well, they're just taking up space on that shelf. And it's his thing is he's so OCD because of whatever he has going on. He's the kind of guy to like pour the pickle juice out of the jar because it's like, well, it's just taking up room in the jar.
Sounds like a
doing what?
Taking up space. Just need my pickles to breathe.
Like God, I don't even want to get into this, but like they're need room for my pickles to breathe. The very different experiences for you and I, because you went to a show and had Alice Cooper get his head cut off. One of the most memorable shows I remember my dad taking me to was a band called Hot Tuna, which is
good old Hot Tuna.
Have you ever actually heard of them?
No,
before?
not at all.
It's the bass player and the guitar player from Jefferson Airplane.
Okay.
And what they did was that band broke up, and then these guys are just old as shit now.
They didn't turn into Jefferson Starship?
They did not. Well, what happened was these guys left Airplane, and then Starship was formed after that.
And they should have got onto the Starship.
And they didn't. They decided to make a band called Hot Tuna, which actually is not a terrible band for my taste. I don't think you would appreciate it.
Hey, I love a hot tuna.
Who doesn't?
What I call my vagina. Jesus.
You're just reaching at this point.
This whole thing has been a reach.
It has. But one of the things I did was I was like, I want to give my dad a good present. And it came on NPR, and he's like, Hot Tuna's coming to town. We got to go see Hot Tuna. And so I bought, it was my very first job I ever had as a teenager, and I bought him the tickets for it. And we were like 4th row back, very center, like really, really good seats.
Where was this at?
This was at the, okay, so you go downtown where the Mendelssohn Center is at?
Yeah.
And there's like the Rockford Music Theater next to that.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the Rockford Music Theater. So they have
Topical.
And so they have like that stage where they have like the balcony up top and they have everything down below. So we were down below. We were like 5th and center. And this guy comes out from like 96.7 The Eagle. And he was like, well, we're very excited to have these guys out here today. This is a rare treat when these guys come into the area. We'd like to welcome for you to play today. They need no introduction. Hot Tuna. And 3 guys came out of the stage. And I swear to God, they were just like escaped people from like Strathmore up the road, because they literally had no shoes on and they just shuffled onto the stage.
And they threw out Hot Tuna into the crowd.
And they put on one of the damn best shows I ever saw in my entire life, because as a guitar player, I'm always really interested in seeing other people's styles and just seeing like how people perform live, especially because it's one thing to listen to somebody play, but it's another thing to actually see them do it live, because you can do anything in post,
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate acoustic blues music from like the 1910s, 1920s, 30s, that whole era. And his name is Jorma Kaukonen, the singer, and he specializes in that finger-picked blues style. And so most of the show was like originals with a couple of Jefferson covers in there, and then they were doing a lot of like old blues, like old blues music that I really appreciated. And they played for 3 hours straight.
Shit.
It was one of the longest shows I've ever been to, but it was one of the most enjoyable shows I've ever been to, because it was so cool. For one, stepping out of my zone and seeing a band that I'd never had no idea who they were at first.
Yeah.
And then 2, getting a really good takeaway experience from it, just going into it completely blind. And just to show a difference between the audience, you got blood all over your program. And at my show,
Hot Tuna.
At my show, there was a hippie couple that got up and they were like probably like our age now, like and they got up and they were dancing, and they were like stomping around, and everybody around them was going shh, because they wanted to hear the music so bad, and they didn't want people hooting and hollering.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Sensational.
So kids, go look up Hot Tuna.
Kids,
tell us your favorite Hot Tuna song. DapperDadsPodcast@gmail.com. Send us some Hot Tuna.
Send us some Hot Tuna.
Hot Tuna, physical Hot Tuna coming soon. I think that'll do it. Episode 5. Whatever the fuck this is.
We're so far ahead in the timeline,
one's in the
we
vault.
don't even know.
All right, give us that review we mentioned earlier. I didn't know we could get reviews on Facebook, and we got a very pleasant one. Shout out to him.
That was
very
actually
nice.
my friend Nate.
Shout out to Nate. That was very heartfelt. I cried a tear.
That was actually very, very kind. He actually, if you're listening to the show, he does.
I hope he already quit. Here's a heartfelt review, and
he does. He does like a lot of drawing, like online drawing and stuff like that. And he actually I'm not sure if he still does it because I haven't talked to him in a little while, but he had a YouTube channel where you could send in what you wanted him to draw and he would draw it. And it would be like a time lapse of him drawing it.
Oh, shit.
So if you're ever look for Nate Crocker and look for some of his design work, he does a really, really fantastic job. He's a very, very good friend of mine. So
give that man some business.
Yeah, please do. That's something I'd like to do with the show is, if we have friends who are also making a quality product, I would like people.
None of my friends make quality products.
Well, some of mine do. So
let's make new friends. If you're listening to this, it comes out the day I'm going to Minnesota. So if you're weirdly in Minnesota, hit me up and let's get fucking
hang out with half the Dapper dads, or you could hang out with the half, or you could shut the fuck up, or you could hang out with the half that's staying in Rockford and being shitty, whatever you want.
Yeah, we can't get too topical and let people hang out in Rockford because it'll be bad. So I'm in Minnesota and I'm going to be getting very drunk. So come to Prof Outdoors.
Fantastic.
Prof is one of the best live performers and one of my favorite rappers. And we'll get drunk and show each other a beautiful time. And this has been NPR.
This has been a Prairie Home Companion. Everybody have a safe and fantastic night.
Yeah, you guys keep your eyes open and your ears inside of yourself.
And keep shitting out boners.
Shit out them boners.
Shit.
Dapper Dads Podcast at gmail.com. Give us a 5-star review on Facebook and iTunes. Show one person that you truly love how fucking good this is so they can be like, wow, you really do love me and you weren't just bogarting this for yourself.
That's a lot of guilt.
Bitch.
And as always, just to end on a positive note, we would like to thank you for listening.
Yes.
We'd like to thank everybody for supporting this dream that we have. And as always,
love you.
We love you. Keep supporting us and stay dapper.
And safe. And then we just keep going.
And
we'll just keep saying things.
For 45 more minutes. 21.